There are companies in Nigeria that are solely in the business of startups. Let me explain. When these companies approach you, either they want to employ you or they want to run a business with you, they look like a revolutionary startup company. They're mostly tech companies. They tell you that they have a tech solution that they are bringing into the world that is going to be a huge solution to XYZ problems. They outline the problem for you. They are going to be very, very convincing when they tell you about the problems they intend to solve. They cite examples from Silicon Valley and how one company or the other changed the entire global landscape when it comes to technology or when it comes to whatever field. They idolize Mark Zuckerberg. They talk about Steve Jobs. They align their ideology with the ideology of trailblazers in the tech industry. So when they come to you with their solutions, you think that they are very revolutionary and they're bringing major solutions to the world. They convince you that you should be an early adopter because early adopters tend to benefit the most when it comes to tech revolutions. So you buy into it. Now, what these guys do is after you've bought into it, you are actually going to become their source of income. After you've bought into it, something happens. The startup idea dies for one reason or the other. It could be a tech problem, it could be a staff problem, it could be an investment problem. For one reason or the other, that particular startup does not exceed 2 years of success in the market. And then these people go into another startup confidently. When you ask them about the startup that crashed, they'll cite examples of Mark Zuckerberg. Again, they'll let you know that tech companies that have actually changed the world did not start with one product, and that failure is part of the process. So they will gaslight you into thinking that you are the problem for asking them for accountability. And then they start another idea. When they start another idea, they go through series of investment again. They get new investors, they have new ideas, they get new staff. They have an elaborate, fraudulent system that they use to pull in staff, very skilled, and then they take advantage of the skills of this staff in order for this startup idea that they now have to look very professional and very mind-blowing, very futuristic. And then they package this idea, they sell it to potential investors, they get investment. After getting the investment, a few months down the line or a year or two down the line, the tech gets into a problem again. Staff problem, investment problem, tech problem, new political problem. One problem or the other halts the potential magnificent progress of that startup, and then they start another, and they go to new set of people. And there would always be people with money that are ready to fund these companies. Why am I making this video? I'm making this video because as a graduate who is just coming out of the university, as if you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, if you're looking to find your foot in the ground, you're a target. If you're very skilled, you're very serious with your life, you're not necessarily after immediate gratification, you're very serious with your life, like you want to make a name for yourself, you want to build a career for yourself, and you don't really care much about being offered, you don't really care much about the money as long as you can survive. You just want to make a substantial name for yourself. Now, that is a very wonderful mindset to have. But know that if you have that kind of mindset, you are a target. Because these companies will approach you with the concept of a vision. They will tell you that you're going to be part of something huge. They will tell you that they will promise you co-ownership in the company. They will promise you career growth within their company. They will promise you with the kind of economic, social, and academic status that the Mark Zuckerbergs have, like the Steve Jobs have. They'll promise you all of that, only for them to use you for short-term goals. And during that period, they'll try to achieve what should be achieved in 2 months under 6 months. And the way they do that is by making you work 3 times the amount of time you're supposed to work for half the pay. So a legal work day consists of 8 hours of work. You can work for 16 hours, 2 times the work, and then they'll add Saturday and Sunday to that. I made a video the other day where I showed you a job description where the CEO clearly outlined it there, that he's looking for someone who would work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's what is written there officially. And he goes further to explain that he's available by 2 a.m. to answer calls from his staff. So which means he's expecting you to still be working by 2 a.m. That's no longer 12 hours, right? That is now getting into 18 hours of work when your actual work day is supposed to be 8 hours with 1 hour break, 7 hours. So now you're getting into 18 to 20 hours of work, including Saturday and Sunday. 3 times what you're supposed to be, 3 times your work. And there are chances that they would even pay you the market value of the job you're doing. For example, if you're a developer and your market value is 1.5 million naira monthly, chances are they will pay you 700k. So you're paying you half your pay for 3 times the work you're doing. That is how they're able to achieve so much in a very short time. And then because they have this attractive goal-oriented ambience as a company, they easily attract investors, right? Investors will see them like, oh, these guys are really working. These guys are putting in their sweat and tears and they are getting results. They said they were going to develop this app in 6 months, and in 6 months they've developed it. So they easily get investment from people that have money, right? So within a span of 2 years, they've gone through a cycle of development and execution, and then they pack up. Meanwhile, your reward of co-ownership in that company was supposed to come in 3 years. One of the ways they operate is they don't invest in marketing. And marketing is something that consumes investment. If you now yield the return a couple of years down the line, maybe 5 years down the line, that's when you begin to make a lot of profit. They don't have the discipline or the time to spend 7 years in a particular hustle in order for them to make money. So these guys pack up after 2 years with all the investment and they start up another startup. So one of the corporate scammers you should look out for as a young graduate is startup companies that are in the business of startups. And this is how you can identify them.